The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and I can be reached at 631-647-4694. When we talk about code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we work with hundreds of advisors across the United States in the areas of insurance, life insurance, long-term care, outliving your money, annuities, disability insurance. These are all part of your plan, all part of your total financial protection and retirement. And we give you solutions. I first want to say to everyone out there that if you have relatives in Ukraine or Russia, I hope for the best. I'm very upset, and I'm just hoping for the best, and please reach out to people. I hold this very sensitive. It's a very sensitive topic to me. This month is National History of Women's Month. And with that, my brother had sent me a videotape that he did of my grandmother, who in 1988 did this video when she was 90, who is from the Ukraine. And we lost half of our family, half our family tree in 1904, got killed by a pogrom. And my grandmother talks about that in this video. And it just reminds me of, she emigrated here when she was in her teens, in her early, 1900s, as many of our relatives have emigrated here, and how comforting it is to be safe and secure and not have to worry every day about these catastrophes hitting our home. So my heart's out to everyone regarding that. And for National Women's History Month, I want to talk about my grandmom. She came here and she started a business. She had a deli in Baltimore, and her husband had a very famous deli and did extremely well. Very hardworking people. And a lot of women that have started businesses don't get the credit that they deserve or own. And there's some statistics that go along with women that you should know about. They own more than half of the world's wealth. Women outlive men by percentages, by actuarial percentage. Over 3 to 5 years, their life expectancy is longer than men. So what does that mean to you and me is that fear of outliving your money or living too long is something that we address in every conversation. We have products and tools that can help you so you can never run out of money. Never run out of guaranteed income for the rest of your life. My aunt is now 101 years old. My grandmother lived till age 98, and they lived great lives and very comfortable lives, and they planned, and they did very well for themselves, and that's because of good planning and having income that they can't outlive. It's a wonderful thing. So we have annuity products that do that. So in honor of National Women's Life, I like to talk about women and their dedication not only to business and their families. And the women of the world are the caregivers of men. My mother took care of my father for many years while helping him with his business, and took care of us growing up. And as we get older, we face the dual responsibility of maybe taking care of a husband, taking care of a brother, taking care of a cousin, and taking care of our children at the same time. And still working and doing all these things, and maybe not getting all the credit for all the things that women have done in my life, including my wife, who took care of her father, who had Alzheimer's, took care of her mother, who passed away from cancer, while taking care of our young children and taking care of me, which is not easy. So I really respect all the hard work that women do, all the caregiving they do, and I think women have to plan and do plan much better than many of the men. We have to figure out a way to not outlive our money and to protect our money from long-term care and leave a legacy behind for all these great people that we have here. And that's what we do, is we talk about preserving a legacy. So today's show is in honor to my grandmother, my mother, my wife, and all the women in the world that in my personal history, not just the history of the world, have contributed. And I think we have to think about that on a consistent basis. Now, getting back to your money and your world today, the last several shows I kept talking about the inflationary pressure we have now, and the stock market is very volatile right now. So with the volatility and inflation, we have to figure out ways of not only not outliving our money, but how do we get to that safe place? Before the show, I was talking about a casino. And, the one thing about a casino that you want to do is you always want to put some of that money in a safe place. You don't want to put all your money on the table and leave the casino. When's the best time to leave a casino? When you're up. But you know what? We've had a really good run on the stock market. And if you're retired or near retirement and you're depending on that money, why are you keeping it all on the table? Bring it back into a safe place. So we talked about what are the safe places to put your money. Well, many people think the bank is the safest place to put your money. It is not the safest place to put your money. If you look at a CD right now, or a savings account, or a money market account, some of the best ones in the country are paying 0.5% while we're having 7% inflation rate. Does that make sense to you? Or 5% inflation? You're not going to have enough money to live if you're sitting with your money in a bank. Yet you don't need to risk it all in the market either to keep up with inflation. So we use fixed annuity products, which are safer than a bank in two respects. So even if you put your money in a CD in that local bank that you see and you're getting 0.5% or 1%, you still have to pay taxes on that money every single year. And it's depreciating because of inflation. So inflation and taxes are taking your money. If you buy a fixed annuity, and they're now over 3% for the first time, that's 6 times 0.5%. 6 times. That's a huge amount of money. If you have $100,000, that's $6,000 as opposed to $500. I mean, it's huge, the difference, the growth rate. Or $3,000 per 100,000. I'm sorry, is 3%. And many annuities have an increased option, whether it's a payout option or will defer the taxes until you take the money out. So you can have deferred taxation, so your money can be allowed to grow and last for later on in life, or you can create an income stream that'll outpace inflation. Isn't that a wonderful thing? You can create an income stream that'll last forever. So we use annuities for an income stream, and we also use them to defer our taxes and get a better rate than we can get at a bank. And our money is backed up. It's safe. It's safer than a bank. Yes, we feel comfortable because the bank is building all these great buildings, but they're building it on your money, not the annuity companies. So annuities have become a very big thing. You need to talk about it. You need to look at your personal portfolio. And even if you own annuities or fixed investment rates, it's time to review them and look at them. And it's time to take some of your money off the table, out of the market, and put it in a safe place. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm going to be back in just a minute. If you need to reach me, you can always reach me at 631-647-4694 or visit my website, mainstreetplanninggroup.com. I always welcome your questions, and we'll be back right after a commercial. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. Before the break, we talked about a couple of different things. One, we talked about National Women's History Month. So for you women out there, I congratulate you and I applaud you and I appreciate you for all the things that the women do historically and have done for this country and continue to do, not just for this country, but for us personally, raising our children and taking care of us and everybody else. So I welcome that. Before the break, we talked about annuities and how we can structure a program where you can't outlive your money. And an annuity payout is like a pension. For those of you that still have pensions, we just worked with some people this week. We worked on a program called Pension Maximization. Pension Max. I don't know if any of you have heard about Pension Max. But what happens is if you have a pension, you're a retired teacher or you work for a union, and they give you a pension, they're going to give you options on how that payout is. So we have a teacher this week that is retiring, and she's getting a pension. She has choices. If she takes the income by herself, she's going to get $5,000 a month for the rest of her life. The problem is, if she passes, there'll be nothing for her husband. Or she has a choice, and really what this is an annuity, of getting, let's say, $4,000 a month. And if she passes, her husband will continue to get that $4,000 a month till he passes. Then there's nothing left. That's kind of how a pension works. So to maximize her pension, she wants to make sure that there's something for her husband. But that difference between $4,000 and $5,000 a month is really insurance. You're really paying for life insurance, basically. If you think about it, if I'm going to sacrifice $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year, times 10 years, that's $120,000 I'm paying for an insurance policy to leave behind my wife, to leave behind to her husband. Now, in her situation, her husband is 2 years older than she is, not as healthy as she is. She's a very healthy woman, and he's not. So by average, and I mentioned this earlier, women outlive men by at least 3 to 5 years, by average. Extenuating circumstances, health, everything else. But by average, that's the case. By percentage, a couple, the woman and the man, will die within 5 years of each other. So I'm really sacrificing $12,000 a year for maybe 5 years. So maybe what am I sacrificing by not taking the maximum of my life only? So here's what we do to maximize this is we're going to use some of that money. In this case, we're going to use $800 a month and let her take out the highest amount. And we're going to we bought her a life insurance policy with a rider that will cover her for long-term care. So she's going to get $500,000 of long-term care coverage. And if she doesn't use it or need it for her own well-being, to take care of her own custodial care in case she outlives her husband, she's still going to pass the insurance tax-free to her husband while taking out the higher amount. So she's still going to leave over $4,000 a month, but instead she's going to leave an $500,000 tax-free benefit if she passes, which he can use as an income stream. Or if worst case scenario, horrible case scenario, she needs long-term care and she develops Alzheimer's or needs care that medical care won't take care of, custodial care to take care of her in her home, keep her away from a nursing home, she's going to have a $500,000 pocket of money to take care of that and still collect her pension and not lose any of that. This is huge. This is Pension Max with a long-term care rider. Something brand new, because long-term care policies used to be separate and apart from buying a long-term care policy. This is a different way of buying it, using a pension maximization strategy that's going to protect their family. So really, there's 3 things that can happen to you in life and after you retire. You know, they used to have the joke, death and taxes. Death, taxes, or long-term care. Those are your 3 things. Because people are living longer and longer and longer. My grandmother passed away at age 98. She was born in 1898. And I talked about her earlier in the program. How she came over. She emigrated from, took a boat ride that took, 3-4 weeks to come over to this country and start a business. And thank goodness she did, because she lost most of her family to a pogrom in Ukraine in 1904. So we live in a safe, secure place because my grandmother made that trip. My grandfather made that trip. If they didn't make that trip, I may not be here today. What a great country we have. What a great thing. But then she lived 98 years. So 98 years, she has to be protected. We're living longer. We have to protect ourselves from a nursing home, which she eventually ended up in, which is a whole nother story. My grandmother, after my grandfather had passed, still ran a rental in her house and another rental house till she was 90, was doing fantastic. Had all her marbles, brilliant, nice, hardworking person. When she was 90, she fell down her steps. She fell down her steps, which were dark and very steep, in the basement of her house. She had the audacity and strength and courage to climb up those steps. She broke both her hips, and she climbed up with her fingernails and elbows up those steps. Had a cane that she found and knocked over the telephone to call my mother. Back then, we didn't have cell phones. Okay? Talk about strength in the dark, climbing with their fingernails and elbows. Who would do that today at 90 years old? That was my grandma. That was Ukrainian stock there. That was Russian stock. Strong person. But you know what? That's what drives us today, is people like that have emigrated to this country. And I feel so bad for what's going on in the world right now. So bad. But just think about how safe and secure we are and how wonderful that is, that we can plan. And we must plan. And planning eliminates many, many, many problems. If you don't protect yourself from long-term care, from losing your assets to taxes, from losing your assets because of an early death or something, then we're not doing planning, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and that's what we do. We help you with your plans. So, National History Women's Month, I applaud all of you, and do some planning. Let's figure out a way where you can have an income for life and protect it with life insurance, long-term care. We've also had a lot of encounters with attorneys recently. We like to be your quarterback. So if you have a lot of issues, I'm finding a lot of people have old insurance policies that aren't performing because of interest rates, or old annuities that they bought, that they just leave them on the shelf. They buy them and they forget about them, and they're sitting in 1% money. Well, the new money rates are over 3% now. So if you have money that's sitting around that's not gaining the kind of interest that's going to help you keep up with inflation, call us. If your old insurance policies have not been looked at and you have all these insurance companies that have gone out of business, you need to call us. You can always reach us at 631-647-4694. If you need to have a trust done or a will done, call us and we'll help quarterback. If you don't have an attorney, let us guide you to the right people. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. If you have any questions whatsoever about any topics, something I've talked about or something you'd like to discuss, or if you have some personal issues or your advisors have questions regarding insurance, reach out to us at 631-647-4694 or look at my website at mainstreetplanninggroup.com, where I've got lots of information and lots of videos and lots of things going on. And it is a beautiful day on Long Island. I hope you all have a wonderful day. It's supposed to be really warm this weekend, which I can't wait. I hate the cold, and I'm looking forward to it. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.